What's up guys, Eber here with Canucks, and last week we looked at the EVGA GTX 1080 superclocked ACX 3.0 GPU, and after testing we concluded that it was better than the GTX 1080 Founders Edition in every way. It was faster, ran cooler, and it actually cost less money. Well, today we're here taking a look at our second custom GTX 1080, and this one is from Gigabyte, specifically the G1 gaming video card.
Yuck. Cable Mod Configurator allows you to select only the cables you need with your choice of Mod Flex sleeving that is very flexible or Mod Mesh that is more vibrant. Then you choose your length and color combination. Custom cables just got more custom with the Cable Mod Configurator.
The price point is very much in line with the competition out there, coming at around $650. But more importantly, this also happens to be the same price as EVGA's superclocked I mentioned earlier. Specs-wise, what you're looking at is a GP104 core that has some interesting clock speeds since it actually comes with two main performance modes. If you install it without Gigabyte's Extreme Engine software, it automatically defaults to gaming mode and runs at 1695 MHz and 1835 MHz for the base and boost frequencies respectively. Meanwhile, the software also includes an OC mode that ups the performance to 1721 MHz base with a boost of up to 1860 MHz. We've enabled OC and these settings will be used for the tests. There's also 8GB of GDDR5X memory, and the rest of the specs are pretty much neck to neck compared to the Founders Edition. And given the higher clock speeds, we can certainly expect a significant increase in performance, considering Gigabyte's advanced WindForce 3X heatsink should keep those frequencies consistent. I should also point out that there are a lot more features packed into this card, like fully controllable RGB lighting, a custom PCB with upgraded components, and a bin core which is supposed to offer more overclocking headroom. These are certainly ways to differentiate this particular card from the superclocked ACX 3.0, since EVGA's card didn't offer any of those. The G1 Gaming's design is understated when compared against some other GTX 1080 cards on the market, but I quite like it. If you recall the previous GTX 980 Ti G1 Gaming that included a minimalist black and white shroud with an RGB lit WindForce logo on its side, this 1080 version utilizes a similar all-encompassing predominantly black cover with a few red highlights. It is much less distinctive than EVGA's current designs, but I think it's much more likely to fit a broader range of builds. The WindForce 3X cooler has historically been one of the best regarded heatsinks around. By utilizing a large horizontally placed heatsink which runs throughout the card, Gigabyte has been able to effectively maximize dissipation while also ensuring their direct touch heat pipe base has enough thermal mass above it to keep up with its core output. That base has been revised this time around, so its heat pipes all make contact with the smaller GP104 core. However, there's one sacrifice with this heatsink. It's a bit longer than the PCB, and to be more precise, the card is 11.25 inches in length, which realistically shouldn't cause any installation problems into most ATX and larger cases, but keep a note of this if you are looking for a more compact chassis. The high-performance fans are engineered to maximize downwards airflow without requiring fast rotational speeds, and they have a unique triangular edge and thin strips at their midpoints, and this helps grant a 23% airflow increase over traditional units. Gigabyte has also replaced the WindForce logo with their own brand name. There's a fan stop sign which lights up to indicate that the fans stop spinning in low load situations. The single 8-pin power input is also located here. The backplate is clean and simple, nothing too fancy when compared to competing solutions from the likes of Zotac and EVGA. It gets the job done, and all the critical components located on this side of the PCB should also benefit from its additional heat dissipation characteristics. The I/O here is based off the reference design. You get 3 DisplayPort 1.4 outputs, a single HDMI 2.0 port, and 1 DVI-D connector. Speaking about the software, the Extreme Engine app is a massive departure from Gigabyte's OC Guru we've been seeing for the last few generations. This one is sleek, well-designed, and highly intuitive. There's a section with full control over a single backlit RGB logo, a dedicated fan profile area, and a user-friendly overclocking tab. Unlike previous softwares, there's no hidden settings or oddball toggle switches. Everything is right there, ready to be used. I actually appreciate its functionality more than the new Precision, but it's missing EVGA's straightforward per-point voltage modifiers and instead uses a confusing curve-like approach which didn't seem to have any discernible impact on overclocking. And let's talk temperatures. They're all identical between different presets, with all topping out at 70 degrees Celsius. Essentially, all these modes strive to attain 70°C simply by fluctuating fan speeds or frequency output. In the long term, the temperatures were a bit lower than the superclocked ACX 3.0. There were no differences between fan speeds on both the gaming and eco modes, with the only exception that being eco tends to hold the fans idle a bit longer. OC mode, on the other hand, sees its rotational speeds hitting about 150 RPMs higher than the other two. Even though the new WindForce 3X cooler has 3 fans and a massive heatsink, it seems to be a bit inefficient when compared directly against EVGA's competing solution. Once again, the differences between gaming and eco modes are non-existent, with frequencies hovering between the 1885 MHz and 1873 MHz mark. The OC mode does exhibit a bit more fluctuation, but it is indeed consistently higher than the other two settings, though only about by 50 MHz. And to me, this makes Gigabyte's card a dual mode solution rather than the triple modes their extreme tuning utility would lead you to believe. Alright, game time. How well does this card compare with the competition? Let's find out. Well, I think we found one of the fastest GTX 1080s for now. As you can see, the G1 top star charts in every single title at the highest setting in 1440p, overtaking the superclocked ACX 3.0, but most importantly, destroying the Founders Edition. The same story applies for 4K, with the G1 not letting anyone take its place. On the acoustics side, there's really nothing to get excited about, especially when OC mode is activated. The EVGA Superclock 1080 is quieter across the board, but we can't forget it also features slightly higher temperatures. Power consumption is respectable too, but that's expected with the Pascal's architecture. Again, you have to consider the 3 fans and the upgraded PCB into the equation. Nonetheless, there's no need for a beefy power supply. We were disappointed with overclocking. The maximum achievable overclock was 2050 MHz, placing the G1 Gaming well behind the Founders Edition and the Superclock 1080. The core on this particular sample seems to require more voltage to run at higher clocks than Gigabyte's utility can provide. Even with an 8% power limit increase, our sample feels like a plug-and-play solution which doesn't need to be overclocked to hit optimal performance.
The Dark-Base 900 may be the most innovative case of the year, with a built-in Qi charger, interior lighting, tempered glass that can be installed on either side, and a fully modular interior that can be inverted if you so desire. Be quiet. Stepping up their game, check it out in the description below.
Alright, so what's our final verdict on the GTX 1080 G1 from Gigabyte? It's an awesome card loaded with great features like RGB lighting, upgraded PCI components, and some items that similarly priced competing solutions just don't offer. The addition of simple performance tuning with just a click of a button is an awesome feature, especially for beginners, and performance was outstanding across the board too, even when compared to the superclocked 1080 from EVGA. Unfortunately, running this card at default settings, it was just louder than the EVGA card, and we were not able to achieve the greatest overclocking results either. Luckily, overclocking will likely vary from one sample to the next, with some being better than the others, while those somewhat higher fan speeds can be tamed with a few inputs into Gigabyte software. And with all that taken into account, if you are looking for a feature-rich GTX 1080, then the G1 Gaming can be considered a good value for the performance it provides. So what do you guys think about Gigabyte's G1 GTX 1080 gaming video card? Would you pick this over EVGA's superclocked card? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm Ibor with Canucks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.